ringside. I'm with Carl Froch, with Roy Jones Jr. Nice job on the commentary, by the way, Carl. Very good indeed. Having watched Canelo up close and personal now for the first time, seeing him live in the ring, has that impacted the way you think about him at all?
Well, I now realise how strong and powerful he is. Although, having said that, Billy Joe Saunders was able to cope with the shots up until that injury at the end. We're finding out that it's a fractured eye socket. That's what they can't tell that straight away, but that injury is so debilitating. I've seen that throughout my career in sparring. I've seen it in the professional ring. And the fight ends. When that eye socket goes, the fight ends. The fighter can't carry on. So that would make sense. But what a shame it was. What a shame for the fight to be ended that way, because it was so competitive. It was enthralling. I was sitting there scoring rounds for Billy Joe, rounds for Canelo. Mannix had Billy Joe ahead, and it was one of them fights that he could have won. 3-4 more rounds to go. What a shame, but you know, Canelo is what he is. He's a powerhouse, he's a dangerous man, and he showed that there in the end.
How were you seeing it at that point in time? Because Carl rightly says that Chris Mannix had Billy Joe Saunders ahead at that point in the fight. But we heard from Todd also at the end of the fight that 2 of the judges had only given Billy Joe Saunders 2 rounds. Another of the judges had given him 3. How did you have it at the time, Roy?
I really wasn't judging the fight, but I thought he was maybe down 1 or 2 rounds. Billy Joe, that is. But Billy Joe was doing a good job of neutralizing some of Canelo's attack. Canelo kind of got away from the body attack for a moment, so that gave Billy Joe a little bit more life. And it's just bad that he had to duck into that one bad shot, because the fight was actually turning in his favor. But all it took was 1 shot. That's why when I came in, I said Canelo needs to do something to seize the momentum, and he did just that with that 1 shot.
We can actually just show you some shots as well of Billy Joe Saunders being taken into the ambulance so that he can go and get this injury taken out. They're rushing him there now. A suspected broken orbital bone is what we're hearing from inside his camp. Carl, he came into this fight an undefeated man. We know the heart he has. He showed that in there tonight, the courage as well and the bravery. How bitter will this be for him? Not just to take the first loss, but to take the first loss in this way.
I think it'll be bittersweet, because he performed so well, and it didn't end with him getting knocked out or badly outpointed or outclassed. You know, the fight ended with an injury because Canelo Alvarez punches so hard, and Billy Joe Saunders did himself proud. So that won't be a bad loss to swallow, believe it or not.
And in terms of Canelo, he's a young man, isn't he, in some ways, but he's old in the game. He turned pro when he was 15. How important was that experience tonight? How did that serve him, his ability to adapt?
That experience is good for him, because we knew he had a shirt on that said, "Keep calm, Nello," something. He knew that it was going to probably take a few rounds to get to this guy, because this guy's never lost. So you have to take guys like him, like Billy Joe, into that deep water and drown them, and that's what I think Canelo did tonight.
You're a Canelo fan now, Carl?
I've always been a Canelo fan. How can you not be? He's unbelievable. He's fascinating. He's fought everybody. I mean, the guy's a machine. And it was unfortunate there. See that right swooping uppercut. Just as Billy Joe was ducking down, the shot caught him, and that's what can happen in this sport. You know, 1 shot can be the end of the fight. I mean, it wasn't a knockout, but that's a bad injury, the orbital socket.
We've talked about the fact that, you know, 168 is the division that he wants to become undisputed in. He obviously owns the lion's share of that division now, but there is still one man out there, Caleb Plant, who potentially might be watching tonight. What would your message be to Caleb Plant if he is watching, and do you want to see him take that fight?
Of course I want to see him take that fight. Caleb Plant is a great guy, great fighter, a young up-and-coming guy. Doesn't have the experience that Canelo has, but he is a good fighter, and he does have a lot of experience. So what he needs to do is pay attention to Canelo. See, I think he's southpaw too, as a matter of fact. So that should be a good thing for him. Billy Joe gave a lot of things tonight that a southpaw fighter could use. I also want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers tomorrow, because tomorrow is Happy Mother's Day to you too, if you have a kid.
I don't have any yet, actually, Roy. It's a point of soreness, but I appreciate you anyway. Thank you very much. That was a nice way to end it. Happy Mother's Day to everybody who's out there. Listen, before we do go, we do just want to remind you as well to come back to the Dazn app tomorrow. We've got Beyond the Bell, where Chris Mannix, Sergio Mora, a bunch of special guests are going to be breaking down this fight and looking to the future for Canelo and for Billy Joe Saunders. So loads to talk about there. And on May 20th as well, make sure you look out for the premiere of the 6-part docuseries El Presidente, which is the behind-the-scenes story of El Fenomeno, Ronaldo taking over at Spanish football club Real Valladolid. Meanwhile, from us here in Texas, or whether you stayed up or whether you just woke back up to watch this fight, we are grateful for you watching. It's been great to have your company. Thank you very much for being with us, Roy, Carl. It has been a pleasure. Before we just go, can we also give a quick shout out to Ryan Garcia? He is Dazn family, and we're wishing you all the best. We're with you in mind and in spirit. God bless you. You'll be back soon. There's loads more fights to come on this platform as well on May 15th. You've got rising star Joshua Buatsi headlining in Manchester against Daniel Blender dos Santos. Then you've got the all-action Jaime Munguia, who's going to step into the ring against Maciej Sulecki. So you can expect fireworks in that one on June 19th. And we will be off to Las Vegas on May 29th, as well as Devin the Dream Haney looks to cement his reputation as one of the future stars of boxing in his toughest test yet against former three-weight world champion Jorge Linares. Thanks very much for the company, and good night, everybody.